pop stars. Welcome to this episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. Thank you for joining us. I'm Eddie,
And I'm Tammy.
and this episode is brought to you by Eddie and Tammy, presenting your favorites of 2022. Da-da-da-da! I feel like we need 50s game show music for that intro.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! This is actually part two of our favorites. Part one, check it out on the website and also wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. We talked about music, and we talked about some of the biggest stories that happened in the news. It was a weird news year. I don't know if I had a favorite. It's just a lot of stuff that happened. So today we are going to talk about movies and TV and entertainers. Um, so I don't know. I found Tammy just in general. Did you find yourself watching as much stuff as you had in the past?
No, but that's because I'm a little bit still in my bubble this year because shit be going down in Western culture. So it's really good to just disappear into another world. Um, so I watched a lot of K dramas. I'm gonna admit that I did watch a lot of K dramas this year. I didn't watch as much of my normal TV shows that I'm always excited about. I binge watched them in the summer, but I didn't watch them in real time like I have in previous years. If that makes any sense, I guess.
Yeah,
That answers
it
your
does.
question.
It does. I found myself watching less too, and it's not like there wasn't a lot of good stuff out there. It's just I think that's just where my mind was this year, and guess we'll talk more about that when we get to the shit that got us through 2022. But um, so I guess we'll start with the big one. Um, movies. Uh, and I said it before, I think this is the year where you can really feel that this was the leftover COVID year. Like a lot of the stuff, because they held a lot of stuff that's supposed to come out in 2020 to 2021 and released some of it slowly but surely. So it's a trickle down effect. And I think this year you could actually feel that there wasn't like this year's movie slate wasn't overly impressive to me. Um, and just looking at different lists, everyone comes out with their list at the end of the year, and I can say that there's some movies I'm like, oh, okay, maybe, but it's like it was very few things besides what we did for the show. I will say that dragged me to the box office. What about you?
Well, my list consists of not only going to the theater, but like you said, movies on streaming services as well were pretty good also. So it's kind of like a mixture when it comes to my favorites of 2022.
Yeah, and I do. I'm getting used to the hybrid model. I'm going to say it is the new normal. And I think people realize where you have smaller movies or movies that don't do as well, if you put them on a streamer, they're more, people will watch them more than having to go spend that $20 per ticket at the movies and tap on popcorn for something. And I know this is the first movie that came to my head, and I know you love this dude, but for something, say, like Firestarter. And I know you love Zac Efron, and it's no disrespect because hey, um, they took they shot their shot. They actually made the movie. It got into theaters. It got the play. So kudos to that. It just didn't perform the way people wanted or expected, and it wasn't necessarily the great movie. But I understand that hey, at least they did it. So it was not really intended to be like shade on that aspect. But let's just face it, it wasn't the best movie. So. What about you? What is one of the movies that made your list this year?
Um, so I guess I'll start with the big one that everybody was anticipating once the trailer was put out there, and it would be Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Everybody was waiting to see exactly how they would do it, seeing as how the star of the first movie died. Um, and so just kind of seeing how are they going to change the story, because we found out they had to change the whole entire story to make it more around a different character than what they originally thought. And I will say, although I do have some differing opinions about certain parts of Black Panther 2, overall, I think it did what it was supposed to do. And so, doing what it was supposed to do and really hitting at the heartstrings, having some action, um, I think it ended up being a really, really great movie. I'll keep my reservations and my negative thoughts to myself, but overall, I think that it definitely made my list of one of my favorites of 2022.
I agree. And, aside, I just got a new puppy and I see where he had an accident in my office. So, that's kind of, I'm like, what the? Children,
Aw.
man, children. Um, but yeah, I agree with you about Black Panther. It did what it was supposed to do, and I think Ryan Coogler. It also made my list. And like I said when we talked about it, Ryan Coogler had his work cut out for him, and I think he did an admirable job of trying to tell three different stories in one. Mourning of the original Black Panther, aka Chadwick Boseman, progressing the movie and the series along in the MCU, since everything is so interconnected, even if you don't realize it at the moment. And also introducing us to a new Black Panther. And I think that he did all of those things really well. So it was, it was masterful. And he did a great job. So kudos to him. Kudos to the entire cast and crew of that movie. I know it couldn't have been easy, you know, having to film that during COVID, all the stops and behind the scenes with the movie. So yeah, hats off to them. What's another movie that you have on your list?
What's a movie you have on your list, Eddie?
I went with I added Top Gun. I saw Top Gun Maverick. And aside from how weird he is and the whole cult of Scientology and all that shit, it really was a good movie. And for it to be a sequel 2030. God, the original was what, in the 80s, damn near 40 years in the making. Um, when I heard that they were doing a sequel, I'm like, why? And so um, again, the movie was so much better than I thought it was going to be. And if I'm not mistaken, you even liked it, even though you'd never seen the original.
And I never
Um,
will.
so I was just like, okay, so Top Gun Maverick made the list for me. It was really good. Um, Tom Cruise, 80 years old, still out there doing his own stunts. He gonna be jumping out of planes in wheelchairs and shit. But
He
someone's got.
seriously will be, and still landing in the wheelchair when he hit the ground.
Thank you. Someone's got to keep Scientology alive though. But um, all jokes aside, it really was a good movie, and I think it was. Even though I have mixed feelings about Miles Teller, personally, professionally, he is a pretty good actor. It's just a lot, in some cases, a lot of the personal bullshit overshadows the professional. But he did really well in the movie. He didn't grate my nerves like I thought he would. So it was really good. I enjoyed that. So that movie made my list.
It made mine too. I will agree with you. I was very surprised on how good it ended up being because I feel like I slightly got dragged to the theater to see it. And it surprised me on how much I did enjoy Top Gun Maverick. Not enough to make me see the first one, but this one was as good as people were making it out to be once they saw it themselves.
Yeah. So I was excited about it. I'm glad. Okay. So now, what about you?
Um, so this one, I don't know if it's gonna make your list, but I do have to say we reviewed it on the Popcorn Wind Down. We do have an episode on it, and it was really really good. The acting was really good, and we even agreed on how amazing of a job Jake Gyllenhaal did as a psychotic genius. Like I don't know what we want to call him, but ambulance. I that definitely made one of my favorites of 2022. I really, really enjoyed it. That was another movie that I went to go see. Didn't think that it would that I would enjoy it as much as I did, but I did end up enjoying it. I ended up enjoying the dynamics of the two main characters. And then Jake Gyllenhaal, because he's just another one. I think he's a really, really amazing actor, and sometimes he doesn't get the credit that he deserves for just how good he is, or he doesn't get the roles that he should on just how good of an actor he is. So Ambulance definitely made my list.
Yeah, honestly, I was going through this list and I was trying to remember. I said I didn't watch a lot, but sometimes you watch so much that you kind of forget some of the things. And I did kind of, but now that you say it, yeah, Ambulance was really, really good. I agree with you. It's better than I thought it was. It was better than what the box office performance and the reviews would lead you to believe.
Mhm.
Um, Jake Gyllenhaal and Yaya had excellent chemistry, and he needs to play the villain more often because he was great at it. He
Yes,
was
he was.
phenomenal at playing the villain. And then there's something about a sexy psycho that just kind of,
He played it so well.
he did. He played it so well. And look, he was the white version of Michael Ealy because Michael Ealy is the black sexy psycho.
Yes. Okay, I'm snapping on that one because I fully agree with you on that 100%.
In the black community, if we got a sexy psycho role, the first one getting that call is Michael
Michael
Ealy.
Ealy.
So, but yeah, he played it really, really well. Um, and it kind of reminds me of a turn like he and I think we talked about at the time. I would love to see him take on more roles like that. Him and DiCaprio. It kind of goes back to I think the only time Leo's ever played like a bad guy was in Django Unchained, and he did
Hmm.
that so amazingly well as
He
well.
did.
So I kind of like seeing them kind of take turns from being the hero, and I can't even call them the anti-hero. Like they were straight up the fucking villain, and I loved it. I was here for all of it. Yeah. So Ambulance. I have one that is a smaller movie. It's an indie, and It was on Hulu. It's getting a lot of talk for Oscar buzz, and the film is so good. And it is called Good Luck to You, Leo Grand.
That's on my
So
list. I haven't seen it yet though.
so good, so good.
Okay, you've just co-signed. I gotta watch it now.
Emma Thompson, and it was one of those movies where it's just like, okay, I want to watch something different, and it was on Hulu, and it kept coming up every time I put it on Hulu. I'm like, okay, and you know me, I'm like, okay, I'll watch it, or maybe I'll fall asleep, or maybe I'll put it on while I'm doing something else, and don't expect it to have my full attention. It did. It was so good, and she plays an older woman, who's recently widowed, and she
Mhm.
hires a sex worker because she's never had an orgasm. And she'd been married for like over 40 years and had like two children. And she had a weird estranged relationship with her children, just because, she was so rigid. So she was trying to figure out who she was and get in touch with her sexuality, not in the fact of whether or not she was trying to consider she was gay or bi, but just who she was as a woman. And so she hired Leo Grand, who was black, and they just formed this amazing, unexpected bond. And they dropped truth bombs on each other that were just like, wow. Um, and it's one of those movies where you could actually, because it is it is contained set, you don't have a lot of different scenes in a lot of different places. It's mostly just the two of them throughout the whole movie. It's one of those movies that you could actually see being turned into a Broadway play or a play on the West End in London. But I highly, highly recommend it. Emma Thompson, as a matter of fact, was nominated for a Golden Globe for her role in it, and I was there for it. I was all the way there for it. Really, really good.
Hmm. All right, I like that one. I haven't seen it, but it's definitely on my watch list to watch during our break that's coming up.
Yes, I highly, highly recommend it.
Um, so on that, I guess on that path, another one that kind of surprised me on how much I enjoyed it. Um, it's not. I will say it's not like Oscar worthy or anything like that, but I really, really enjoyed watching it. And there's talk about a second one coming out, and I really hope so. And it's called Purple Hearts, and it's on Netflix. And it was really good. And I just like the kind of story of it's like a fake marriage between a soldier and up and coming singer, and she has, I believe it's diabetes, and so she needs insurance, and he decides to marry her in order to give her insurance, and it's going through where got to make sure that the military doesn't find out because he can get arrested and thrown in jail for committing fraud against the government. But during it, like they fall in love. And it's just so natural on how they go from like not really liking each other, kind of, and being like very aggressive with each other to falling in love with each other, especially when he gets hurt and he gets sent back to the US and she's the one who actually has to take care of him because publicly she's his wife, and while her career is like taking off. So it was just really, really nice movie to just watch. So if you have a weekend, sit down, watch Purple Hearts if you haven't already. But I really, really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, it's on my list. I think I was going through a phase where I didn't want to see a sappy love song, a sappy love movie or love story, but it looked really good, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not about all this right now, but I will definitely check it out. Another one that was on my list, and I'm not surprised, but this movie made a lot of the people's worst movies of the year list, and I was like, and I hate that it didn't do what it was supposed to do, and that was the 355 or the 355.
Yes, that made my list too.
Um,
But go ahead.
it really was a good movie. And I'm all for women kicking ass and taking names and numbers and doing it just as well as the men. Was it a perfect movie? No, but it was by no stretch, and we actually did an episode on it, so check it out. But it was by no stretch of the imagination as bad as people say it was. It was actually really, really good, and I really want us to get more action hero roles and roles like that where we can play the badass spy in the lead and the smart person and not just the sidekick and all of that. So I was there for it, and it was an amazing cast, and it was good. And I was like, okay. And I think I even said it would be great as a series, like on a streamer, a limited series, 8 to 10 episodes a season, and move on, or even six, just depending on what it is. But I could actually see it becoming a series because it's just that much meat on the bone if someone took the time to develop it correctly. So, but yeah, the 355 kick ass women made my list, or the 355.
I will agree. So that definitely made my list as well as one of my favorites of 2022. And I'm like you, I really don't understand why it didn't do as well as it should have. I thought it was great. I told everybody to watch it, and some people didn't see what I saw, I guess, and then others was just like, "Oh, it was actually a really good movie." And I'm like, "Told you." But yeah, I'm all for kicking ass. I love the fact that like they were kicking everybody's ass, but also the twist. It wasn't like some love story going on there. They didn't have like a side story where you had the really, really great guy who just understood the character, and that wasn't what it was about. Like it really was an action flick of espionage and action, and I love that. Like there were no like detours on the story. Really, really enjoyed it, and I agree with you. It was an amazing, amazing cast. Lupita Nyong'o made. I actually made a list of my favorite actors and actresses of 2022, and she made the list not necessarily for Black Panther, but she made the list because of the 355, which I thought she did an amazing job on just the different emotions she had to go through throughout that movie.
Yeah, and I think that it probably would have done better if they would have gone ahead and just released it. Um, because it was one of those movies. It was a COVID movie. It was one of the movies that's supposed to come out right around COVID hitting the world shut down, and then when they started restructuring movies, they start putting some of them on the streamers, and then they held some for the box office. I honestly think. It would have grabbed more people's attention and more eyes, and probably would have been more successful if they would have gone ahead and released it to a streamer during that time.
Yeah, it would have done better than Red Notice, which was trash.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I have Nope on my list. I was going to go watch it in the theater and something happened. So I ended up watching it when it was on Paramount. Oh my gosh, the movie is so good. Jordan Peele is amazing and he tells our stories so well. And I love that he falls in that horror genre, but it's always something. The way he's able to make it culturally relevant is phenomenal. And Kiki Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya were masterful. So I loved Nope. It was really good. It deserved all the flowers it got and then some.
I didn't see it.
It's good.
But
Check it out.
I've never seen what's the other one that he made that was real big?
Get Out and Us.
Yeah, never seen any of his movies.
Oh
So
my god,
it's not
girl!
it's not it's not but it's not my genre. Like I just do not enjoy those types of movies. And so no matter how good it is, you can't get me to watch those types of movies because they're just not there. It's just certain genres I just do not watch. I don't care how good the movies are. And it's part of that. I don't care. Like I just don't like it just does not entertain me. I don't want to see it. So everybody tells me like, oh, it's so amazing. You gotta go watch it. I'm like, no, I believe you. I truly believe you when you say it's a really, really good movie. I still will never watch it, but I can acknowledge I've heard from everybody how really good it is.
Just because I'm feeling a little under the weather, my voice sounds froggier than normal. It's not your ears, pop stars. It's the truth. I'm not going to argue with you about revoking the black card today. Okay. uh,
I don't, but you know what? The funny thing is, I don't think those movies are black card worthy.
oh my god.
It's in great movies, but I don't think it's necessarily black card list worthy.
But he finds a way to subtly make a statement about us. Like there's no mistake um, what it's about, who it's for. Um, in that sense, so he just does it really really well. The way he delivers that message without necessarily beating you over the head with it. So he is a wonderful wonderful filmmaker. But one of the things I noticed, you know, I think it's Hollywood Reporter, Variety. They're all having their end of year roundtable discussions, and I can't remember which one, but they had a roundtable discussion with writers, and all of the writers were men, and majority of the men were white men, except for Jordan Peele. I think he was the only man of color. I think Taika Waititi may have been in that, and I was just like, what the fuck? So I'm just like, damn it. That was a little disheartening to me. But anyway, so what's another movie you have on your list?
Um, so gonna go a little action. And so I will say another movie that I loved so good was Uncharted. And I am a huge fan of Tom Holland. I think that um he just really took on the role of Spider-Man, made it his own. Nobody else is Spider-Man right now except for Tom Holland. Although it was nice to see the old ones, but no. And but he also needs to show his acting chops outside of the Marvel universe, because that is how his name was made. Kind of like Chris Evans done it, Robert Downey Jr. has done it as well, a couple other actors. And so with Uncharted, it not only showed like he was an acting, like he was an action star, and he could do action, but he actually can act. And so a lot of times, and we've had this discussion before, when you're in the Marvel universe, it's kind of like, are you really an actor? Can you really act? And then you have to take on certain roles to show that you can actually carry a movie on your own without the Marvel name attached. And I think Tom Holland did that with Uncharted, and he actually, I feel, outstaged Mark Wahlberg, who was also the star of the movie. And it was so action packed. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't surprised that I enjoyed it, but I really enjoyed it. And I will just say, I'm about to have a real vain moment. but Tom Holland got a body that's absolutely phenomenal. And I just like to see what is underneath the Spider-Man suit. I'm just like, damn. Very, very sexy dude. Too young for me, but very, very sexy British guy.
Zendaya is a very lucky young woman,
Very, very, she's very lucky.
and
Very
he's a very
lucky.
lucky young man. They make a cute couple. I love them together.
They do.
Uh, I I agree with you. Uncharted also made my list. It was one of those that kind of surprised me because I was thinking it didn't do well in the box office. It didn't live up to expectations, or perform up to expectations. And then it was like, okay, the question I have, I asked you earlier off mic, is or at the end of last episode, are we experiencing superhero fatigue or hangover? And so I think that kind of, for me, kind of carries over into these niche movies like video game movies and the Transformer movies, the movies based on live action toy movies and all of that kind of stuff. So I was surprised, not that I'm not a fan of Tom Holland. I wasn't surprised by his performance, but just by the whole thing, that how well it was done, and the story. And I was like, and it's one of those movies where you watch it, I'm like, what were people thinking? Like, this movie is actually really good.
It did better
And
on Netflix. Once they premiered it on Netflix,
then it
it
did in
did
the box
phenomenal
office.
well. Phenomenally
Yeah.
well.
So, yeah, but Uncharted also made my list, and for a lot of the same reasons. Um, my other one, Bullet Train. Um,
Yes.
I think it's something weird about me in the movies this year. What was it? I think it was Ambulance and Bullet Train. I had to go see those movies twice because the ending got cut off on each of those movies every time I went to see it. Like, something happened. One time the lights went out at the theater, and I'm like, fuck, I'm not about this life. I'm not about to sit here in the dark with some strange weirdos. Uh, and then I think the other time, it just, I don't know what was the deal, it just stopped working. And I'm like, fuck. But Bullet Train was surprisingly, because when you sometimes when you have a movie that's much hype and you have like an all-star cast like that, it actually turns out to be like a dud. Maybe like Amsterdam, or one of those other big hyped movies, Babylon, which they kind of got trashed at the box office. Um, I was like, okay. And Bullet Train was amazing. Aaron Johnson, Brian Tyree Henry, they had perfect chemistry. Amazing. Brad Pitt was at his comedic best. Like, I think we forget how good of a comedy actor Brad Pitt is.
Yes.
His timing is impeccable. And if you don't believe me, then go back and watch the I think we're well. Besides, there's a movie that he and Julia Roberts did, was The Mexican, and you kind of and it got, it was trash, but it's actually a pretty decent movie. And you saw some of his comedic timing there. But I think really what put it on display was the Ocean's trilogy. And I love when he does those roles because he's just so damn good at it. And it did not, making this movie, watching this movie, it didn't seem like they were working. Bad Bunny, Henry, not Henry Cavill, but my other boy, Henry, you know who I'm talking about. Um, the
Oh,
Asian dude from
oh, I know who you're talking about, and I can't think of
I'm having a
his name.
brain fart on his name, but you know him when you see him. Love him. From Crazy Rich Asians. You know, Andrew, again, having a brain fart on his last name.
Golding.
Yes, Henry Golding. Andrew, gosh, I forgot his last name, but from Warrior. Just amazing cast. Joey King. So Bullet Train definitely made my list. And it's on Netflix right now. If you did not watch it in the theaters, if you did not watch it, go watch it on Netflix. It is so good, and it will be well worth it. It's a perfect action comedy.
It is. I will agree. I was gonna say, if you want a movie that just makes you laugh out loud and it surprises you, like you start laughing, you're like, wait, that was actually funny. Because a lot of times I think movies have turned into doing dry humor where you're like, oh, that's cute, more than laughing out loud at like the ridiculousness that's going on. But I think with Bullet Train, it just surprised me on how many times I laughed as I watched that movie. It was just so funny as well as action packed. Like so
And
funny as well as action packed.
even some of the more violent things, like some of the ways people died was funny, and then I'm like, why am I laughing at this? But it was funny.
Well, you know,
Like,
I laugh at those kinds of scenes because John Wick, I think, is a hilarious movie to me on how people die in that movie. But yeah, but I understand what you're saying.
all right, so what's your last one? And for the complete list, please be sure to
Oh,
check us out on
I got two more. I left my last two.
okay,
I left my last two. So
okay, go
first
ahead.
is going to be The Woman King. Viola Davis is an absolute queen. The best actress. You know, a lot of times, and I will say I was one of those people, it was like Meryl Streep or nobody. Just Meryl Streep is just an absolutely phenomenal actress. And it's very, very few people that can be on her level. Viola Davis over the years, and this is not the first time I've seen that she's on her level, but I even think in some cases she's above Meryl Streep. She's just an absolutely phenomenal, phenomenal actress who embodies every single role that she takes, whether it's a good role or a bad role. Suicide Squad, but she still fully embodies the roles that she takes. And The Woman King is one of my favorite movies of 2022. It made me cry. There were moments where I laughed, I smiled. Like the amount of emotions that I felt watching her performance, sorry, in that movie, but just the whole movie in general. If you have not seen The Woman King, please go and see it. Just like the 355, it just has like women empowerment as well as kind of historical, not too historical, but still a historical factor in it. And I love those types of movies. So The Woman King, one of my top two movies of one of my favorites of 2022.
Great minds think alike. That was my it was on my list too, and I agree
Oh,
with you. Viola is Viola. Like, give her all the
yeah.
flowers now, all of them. Like, fuck the flowers. Give her the whole damn flower shop. Okay.
Yes.
Give her the flower. Give her the
Give her the
fields. Give
forest. Give her the
yeah. Give her
forest.
the give her the farmers market. Whatever. Just give it. Okay. Every role that she plays, from Annalise, and when you see her, like when I'm watching her, I don't think, oh, you did Annalise better. I'm not looking at Annalise Keating. I'm
No.
looking at her playing this African warrior who was riding for her tribe and her village and trying to save her people. You know, Suicide Squad again. Amanda Waller is not my favorite character,
Still owned
but
it though.
yeah, but for this iteration, she is Amanda Waller, depending on what they do and how they what they decide to do, and how many people they retain in the DCU with its new overhaul. We'll see. But yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Okay, what else do you have?
All right. So my last favorite movie of 2022 is going to be The Gray Man. Um, I love Ryan Gosling, love Chris Evans. Um, the Duke of Hastings showed me that he can be more than the sexy dude on Bridgerton. But the performance of Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans is another one, kind of like with Tom Holland. You got to see him in other roles to show that he can actually act. Like he's actually really, really good. Playing an absolute like sociopathic, psychotic mercenary. Um, she was just amazing in the role. He had me believing that that was him. And it's crazy because he's like America's favorite. And he just embodied that role as well. And the same thing with Ryan Gosling. When Ryan Gosling picks roles, I feel like he's going to embody it. He's another one. It just becomes his own. And I think it's been a while. I don't think he's ever really done an action flick before. Except I think what was the one on the motorcycle or something like that, or driving the car.
Drive.
Yeah, but that was more of a drama than an actual action. And so this being an action flick, I want to see him in something else. I think he did a phenomenal job on it, and I need to see him in something else. And also, I need to see him in a movie with Ryan Reynolds because I just feel like Ryan Reynolds, Chris Evans, and Ryan Gosling need to be in a movie together. I'm saying it right now. I'm casting them. I don't know what the movie is. It needs to be an action flick, but I swear I can just see them doing a phenomenal job on an action flick, the three of them. So I'm just putting that out there. But The Gray Man was so good. So good. So good.
That it was, and
I
it made
watched it
my
like
list.
4 times. That's how good it was.
Yes, and it made my list too. And I yeah, he is. Chris Evans is one of those who I think should play more of the villain because he did it so well. Even that horrible porn stash he had. Um, it was just like, yeah, the social psychopath, whatever. He was social psychotic. He was fucking
He
crazy.
was.
No
He
empathy,
was.
no humanity. But I was here for it all. Like he did amazing in that role. Um, I also my last movie is a movie called Prey, and it was part of the Predator franchise, and it's a prequel to all the Predator movies. Now, when I say that, you think, "Oh God, stupid," and I did too. It was on Hulu, and I thought, okay, again, but it was getting really, really good reviews. The girl who played the lead, she played Liz's sister in Roswell, um, and so in the new version of Roswell, she was Liz's sister, and it was amazing. It was so good. I was not expecting that movie to be that good. Again, and I'm not really one for the whole horror monster genre, but they did it really, really well. And I was like, okay. I mean, it surprised me just how much I liked that movie. It was really good, and I highly recommend Prey. Okay. So like I said, for the complete list, check out the website, and we will have the list of our favorite movies. I'm sure there's more. Um, Now for TV, so going to the small screen. Um, I tried to pick um actual TV shows. I tried to stay away from the hybrid movies and all of that kind of stuff because there's a lot of them. I think I did a decent job, so we will see. But one of mine that I absolutely loved, I loved Miss Marvel. I know we had different opinions about it, but it was one of my favorites. I think it was so well done. I love the way that they told the story. I love that we got a girl of color, a young woman of color, as one of the major superheroes or characters in the MCU. I'm interested to see how she will do in the Marvels. So it sounds like it should be a Motown group, Marvel and the Marvelettes. Um, so I really, really enjoyed Miss Marvel, and I am actually looking forward to a season two, or just seeing how she's integrated into the MCU, into the movies and all of that. I think I know she's one of the new Avengers in the comic book lore, but I loved Miss Marvel. What about you?
Yeah. So one of my, because it was not Marvel, Miss Marvel. I will say one of my favorite TV series. I think came out at the end of last year and then really revved up at the beginning, if I'm not mistaken. I could be. Um, so it's gonna be The Witcher.
Oh yes,
Yeah, I am a huge, huge fan. I loved season one. I talked about it constantly, tried to get as many people to watch it. It was a huge hit. We highly anticipated season two. Season two comes out, and I loved it even more. Cannot wait for season three. But The Witcher, starring Henry Cavill, was just so good. Like, just the story continues to grow, and it gets better and better with the season. So like I said, I am definitely looking forward to season three, which comes out early next year.
yeah. I'm a little bit the opposite. There are some of the shows that I watch on network TV in real time. And one of those that I'm scared for that I want someone to pick up is All American. Usually when you hit this, when the kids go to college, it usually kind of gets a little stale or redundant, but they keep coming up with amazing stories to tell. And the show just keeps getting better and better and better. Um, So I love, and we've done several episodes on All American, so you can go listen to either one. I think we've done two or three, and just hear our love for the show. But even in season five, it gets better and better, and it is the CW's highest show. It's surpassed highest rated show. It surpassed The Flash. Whenever it comes on Netflix in the summer for streaming, it does really, really well. The rewatch numbers, overnight numbers for DV are really well. So I love that show, and I hope that it can find a new home with the changes going on at the CW.
I agree with that. Um, Yeah, I agree with you when you said All American definitely gets better and better every single season. They get older, and it's very rare because usually those types of shows that start out with them teenagers in high school, they get stale after a while, especially when they go into adulthood because it's kind of like you don't know what to do with them after that. But with All American, they've had a great transition from high school to college. And I will say it's very few shows that have had a successful transition of their characters going from high school to college and still getting better and better with their seasons. So yeah, definitely. Another one kind of surprised me. I was a little iffy. I didn't really want to jump on the bandwagon of watching it. But once I watched it, I binge watched the whole thing. I was anticipating the episodes, and that's going to be Bel Air. You didn't know how Bel Air was going to turn out, seeing as how it went from being a comedy to a drama, but phenomenal job. I think they did an amazing casting on who they cast as Will on Bel Air. Most of the characters I think were perfectly casted. I definitely enjoyed them. There was just one member of the cast. I don't feel that they did a good job on casting that character. But other than that, I think that Bel Air turned out to be phenomenal. And the last episode, like, just hit you all around when Will confronted his father and they were going back and forth. Just that argument alone sells the whole entire season, the whole entire show. Um, because you saw the emotions. I thought it was very realistic on his reaction to it, wanting to build that relationship and know why his father wasn't around. But at the same time, when he like tried to insult his mom and he went off, I felt that because that's how I've had that moment of having to like stand up and being like, oh, you're not gonna talk about my mother like that. So I definitely understood where he was coming from with that. So I just think that Bel Air, amazing first season, and second season comes up in the I think early of next year, and I cannot wait for season 2 of that show.
Um, I can't put it better myself. It made the list. I don't think there's anything that needs to be added to that. It was a phenomenal show, and it made that transition. It's another show that had a very difficult transition, taking a much beloved comic, a cultural classic, something for the culture,
Yes.
and turning it into a drama. Because I know a lot of people when they heard it was going to be a drama, they were not here for it. They were like, "What the
No,
fuck?"
no.
But they did it really, really well. So kudos. And I'm glad they didn't, there's some question marks surrounding the continuation of it, especially after the slap. But I'm glad they didn't let that interfere with the show itself. Um, okay, I love a lot of my shows here are like network, I guess. Um, I love the FBI's. Tuesday night, Dick Wolf, all the FBI's. I love them. Like I don't know if it's my guilty pleasure or whatever, but I just love watching them, and they're really good. The original FBI, I'm starting to find myself standing Maggie in OA. Like OA is a sexy motherfucker. Zuko Zaki, like dude, like every time I see him, I sing every time he walks on camera. Forgive me, I just sing that bar of Prince's "Sexy Motherfucker." I'm like, "Sexy motherfucker, shaking that ass, shaking that ass." Um, but he's also an amazing actor. He's really good. So I love all the FBI's. I think even FBI Most Wanted after Julian, I forgot his name, but after he left, Dylan McDermott came in and he stepped in and um, took over and kind of made it his own role, and you could tell that he was different from the character that he played, but I'm here for the FBI's. If you like, just standard procedurals, that is one for me. I recommend the FBI's along, with of course Chicago PD.
I, you know what? Once again, the network shows are on my binge list for my break because I haven't been able to keep up with them. But I will agree that FBI, the original and most wanted, not international. I couldn't get into FBI international, but most wanted and the original FBI are still on my list of shows that I enjoy watching when I get the time to watch them. So I do agree with you on them still being really, really good. And I'm agree with you. OA is a sexy motherfucker. So
Yeah, yeah.
definitely,
No disrespect to you and your peoples, but homeboy,
yeah. Like
you know.
yeah, like he really, really, really is. And I've been shipping him and Maggie for since like season one. And I was just like, so they not doing this? Like it's gonna be like a I feel like it's gonna be like a oh my god, what's the show? Law and Order
SVU.
SVU.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna end up being like that. So another one of my shows we reviewed again on the Popcorn Wind Down, so you can definitely go and check out the episode, and that's The Lincoln Lawyer. I saw the movie with Matthew McConaughey. I was really excited about the series, especially since they said that the main character, they hired an actor who actually looked like the character in the book. And they didn't whitewash the character. So I really, really love that. So I really, really enjoyed the overall art story of the Lincoln Lawyer, but also the Tibet cases that came up throughout the season. Very happy that it got renewed for season 2, which is also supposed to be coming out next year in 2023. So I'm excited about that. But Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix, check it out.
Yes, kudos. It is actually really good. Sticking with my procedurals on CBS, Sunday nights are kind of occupied by two shows. I'm
Yeah.
just putting them up there. Equalizer, which has gotten so much better. Um, when it first came on, I wasn't sure. It's still not the best, but it's a really good show. It has gotten better. Queen Latifah is making the role her own, and I love the sense of family that she has, and I love some of the side stories and the supporting characters and cast, and also a show that I didn't know that I would like, and maybe because Jimmy Smits is one of the OG sexy motherfuckers. Still sexy as fuck. Still, granddaddy could get it. Let me stop.
Oh my gosh, stop.
Let me stop. But you get the point. All the way going all the way back to reruns of L.A. Law. I think that's when we first, or reruns of what was it, NYPD Blue.
Yes.
I can't remember which came first, if it was L.A. Law or NYPD Blue, but
I
just
think
on the
LA
rerun
Law
tip.
came first.
But yeah, so Jimmy Smith still sexy. But I also love East New York. It has really grown on me. And it's a show, that I just find myself watching, and it's a good little show. Like I said, it's not like award-winning television, but it's a great procedural. So, if you like that kind of stuff and just want to check out, and then I would recommend turning over part of your Sunday night to Equalizer in East New York. And plus, I have to give it to CBS. You have two black women lead one of your most popular nights in TV because it follows the NFL. So yeah, really, really good.
On that note, so on representation, I'm gonna kind of change gears a little bit. So I'm gonna name 3 shows at the same time that I really, really enjoy. 2 of them on Netflix. Um, one of my K dramas. So I'm gonna start bringing in my K dramas because good TV is good TV. But it's gonna be Heartstopper on Netflix that was really, really successful. Really, really enjoyed it. It actually pushed me to read the book series, which is really good. And I am not even a comic book graphic novel kind of person. Didn't realize it was that kind of book series, which it is. It's like in a comic book format on how you read the books, but I still really, really enjoyed it. I'm very excited for season 2. And then my second show is going to be Young Royals. I think season 2 definitely did not have a slump like a lot of shows will. And so it definitely kept up the momentum of Young Royals so much that, did you see that the stars did an interview with Jimmy Fallon?
No, I didn't see their Fallon interview.
Yes. So I'm just like, I'm hoping that the popularity as they continue to grow in America, that they can get a season 3. It's like a huge series in Sweden because it is a Swedish show. So I don't only watch K dramas. So it is a Swedish show. It's really, really popular in Sweden. And it's becoming more popular in America. Young Royals, about a young prince who ends up, his older brother ends up dying. He becomes the crown prince, and it kind of goes through where he's trying to figure out who he is as a person while he's falling in love at boarding school. And it's really, really good. It's like 6 or 7 episodes a season. It's 2 seasons, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then the last show that's kind of on that line of representation is going to be, it's called Semantic Era. And Semantic Era has 12 episodes, only 30 minutes each. And it's about how opposites attract. And they meet in college, and one is a very, very like, I want to say he's autistic. They never actually come out and say that he's autistic. So you have one of the main characters is very, very autistic, but he's like basically a genius. And then you have another character who is like the most popular guy in on campus. Very, very popular. And they kind of meet and annoy the shit out of each other when they first meet. And then they end up having to partner up for a project. And they ultimately fall in love as they're partnering up for the project. But the autistic character really like drags his feet there because he does not understand his feelings. And so it takes him a long time, while the other one is just like, nah, we in this. Like, let's go. So I really, really enjoyed that. I've watched it so many times. So just those 3 shows was, I really, really enjoyed it. And they became my favorites of 2022.
I haven't seen Semantic Error, but it sounds like something I would add to my list. I agree with you on Heartstopper and Young Royals. I also have another show that was on FX or Hulu or Freeform, and it's called Single Drunk Female. So good.
Yes, I heard that.
So good. And it's one of those shows I did not think I was going to like. And
Mm-hmm.
from the first episode, I was drawn in. And you know me, usually I wait until after the season, especially on those shorter shows. I watched it every week. Like that's how good it was.
Oh yeah,
Um,
it's got to be real good if you watching it every week.
I watched it live, like in real time every week. So it was really, really good. Single drunk female. Highly, highly recommend it. And it stars Ali Sheedy. It is coming back for a second season. And they're gonna and today I just read that they're gonna have a Breakfast Club reunion because Molly Ringwald has a guest role in the second season. So I'm like, oh, okay. So, but yeah,
One of my
it's
favorite movies of all time.
yeah, so if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's on Hulu, and that is Single Drunk Female. And I think it's about 10 episodes, 10, maybe 12, but it's really
Is
good.
it 30 minutes or an hour?
30 minutes.
30 minutes?
Hmm.
Definitely, definitely gonna put it. I've seen it on Hulu, um, but I haven't watched it yet. So since you watch it in real time, that means it's really good, y'all. I'm telling you, Eddie does not watch shows in real time. So when
Yeah,
she said she watched it in real time and she didn't just binge it at the end, it's really, really good that she's like anticipating it every week.
yeah.
Staying on the Hulu train, another show that I was late to the game and then I suggested we reviewed it again. Because we reviewed a lot. Did you ever look and see like how many episodes we had? We've
No,
reviewed
I
a
know
lot
it's
of
40.
TV and movies. But so this show ended up being really, really good. And I didn't know how good it was going to be because the first episode kind of started a little slow for me. But by the second and third episode, it picked up and I was fully in there, binge watched the whole thing in one night. And that's going to be The Bear, which
Yes.
is on Hulu. And when I tell you that you will not be disappointed, on taking the time to watch this show. It is so good. It's only, I think it's like 6 or 8 episodes and 30 minutes each. And it is just absolutely phenomenal. Like the acting is just on par. And none of the actors are like big name actors. Like it's not like they don't sell the show based on like the big names. That's not what it's about. Like the only one that you would fully recognize is going to be the actor who played Lip on Shameless. If you was a fan of the show, which I was, then you would recognize him as the character Lip that he played for 11 seasons. On Showtime, I believe. Yes, so Showtime it was. But other than that, like it's just really good acting, really, really good acting. And I'm hoping some of these actors and actresses become stars and really start to get recognized and get other opportunities because it was just such a phenomenal show. So good, so good.
Yeah, it's also on my list, and I really don't have anything to add to that besides check it out. It snuck up on me too, and I was gonna suggest it, but I'm like, no, she's not gonna like it. And so but when you said it, I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen it. Great, let's do it. And I think I jumped on it really quick, and I'm like, okay. And I didn't say, oh, you're not gonna like it or anything like that. Just like as soon as you text me, he's like, do you want to do the bear? Yep. So I
No
just like,
questions.
no questions. So it was really, really good. Also sticking with FX is another show. One of my favorite actors, up there with Meryl Streep, just in his performances. Um, and that is The Old Man, starring Jeff Bridges. Not at
Heard of it.
all what the fuck you think it is.
Okay.
So good, so good, and it's twisty, and it's turned. And then, gosh, I forgot her name. It's not Pam Dauber, but it's someone else. Amy Brenneman from Judging Amy.
Okay.
She's in it. And
Ooh,
again, it starts off where you're like, the fuck? So at first, it's kind of like a slow burn. The first, it's one of those, it's kind of like a slow burn, one of
you
those
got to pick
first
up.
episodes. And then after that, like by 2 or 3, you're all the way the fuck in. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, so good. And I love it because it's age appropriate in the sense that it shows that older people can still do stuff too. You don't always have to play the geriatric grandfather who's about to be put out the pasture and in the old folks home or whatever. You can still kick ass, especially if based on your character, that's what you've known your whole life. Like it's so good. So that is The Old Man, and I want to say that he was nominated for a Golden Globe for his role in The Old Man. Jeff Bridges, so good.
Wow. Okay, so for another one of my favorites, and I just finished it like I think like 2 weeks ago, and then I automatically text you and was like, oh my god, you gotta watch this show. And it's called Weak Hero Class One. And it was a comic book series that turned into a TV series, and it's about bullying in high school, and the acting and just it's just absolutely phenomenal. It's only 8 episodes. It will make you cry. You go from like being real pissed off to like laughing at certain scenes, and then by the end of the series, like you are just a ball of emotions on how they end season 1, hoping for season 2 to come out. And it's literally about a kid who is like the smartest kid in school. He's number one, and for some reason, as always, that is not celebrated to be the smartest kid. So you have bullies that try to like bully him and take advantage of him, not realizing that he's not as weak as he looks. And so he ends up like kicking a lot of their asses. They try to bully him and try to get him to like do certain things. They steal his clothes after gym and just other things that they do. They try to get him to fail his classes, and that's what like makes him snap. They mess with his grades. So before that, he was kind of just be like, hey, like just chill out, chill out. And then they make him actually fail a test, and he never failed the test, or he got something wrong, and he never got any questions wrong. He was just that smart, and he snaps, and it's just the whole dynamic of going from just keeping to himself to having to make friends and also kind of put these bullies in their place. And it's just so, it's so good. It's so good. I will say it is a K-drama. It is a K-drama. So you do have subtitles, but it's just so good. It's worth the subtitles. Like, I just really, really enjoyed it. I'm throwing it out there. Definitely should watch it. It's hours episodes, only 8 of them, but it will definitely pull at your heartstrings towards the end.
Okay. My final one that I'm going to discuss, of course, there's a whole list. And I actually shared quite a few. I think this is one of the first years that we shared a lot of the same.
Mhm.
But I just finished it this weekend, and I was surprised that I would like it because I'm normally not that documentary person. But when I watched Harry and Meghan, I was like, oh, how's it going to be different from the Oprah interview? I really had no idea what to expect, and it was so well done, and they're telling their side of the story, okay? And I think which is much needed because you only get the press, and if you spread the lies spread faster than the truth, always, and it's hard to combat the lies even with the truth. And um, I was telling someone when I was recommending it, I said it's different than what you think it is. It's not them playing the victim, it's them just truly explaining. And it leaves room for you to make up your own mind, um, about what went down, and how they were affected, and basically how they were truly bullied out of the royal family. And you didn't realize it was that bad to where you heard a little bit about it, but they glossed over it like, oh, it's just stupid trolls. But you didn't realize the amount of death threats that she was actually getting, her and her children, and she still gets. And it was just something that I was like, oh wow. So I and I was like, okay, but I highly recommend it. It and yeah, it was just it was something.
I will say that made my list as well. I didn't watch it as soon as it premiered, but because I didn't realize that it had premiered already, and so I went on Netflix, and it was number one on Netflix, and I was just like, oh, okay, let me watch it. And what I will say is that starting off by saying that I have fully been on Harry and Meghan's side from the jump, because you got to understand what her joining the family really, really meant, and how much pushback she would get. Because we get pushback no matter which door we're trying to go into. So you can definitely understand there was a lot of pushback behind the scenes. But the first episode, I was a kid. I was really, really young, but I remember Princess Diana. My mother loved her, just absolutely loved her. And I remember um, when it was announced that she had died, and watching the funeral and seeing um, her kids walking behind the coffin with just a blank face, like no emotions. And I will tell everybody, the reason why you want to watch this is because even in the Oprah interview, it was more Meghan talking than it was Harry. The interview was more on like what Meghan went through and her feelings. In this series, Harry speaks up, and he says what his feelings were and what his thoughts were, and you get to see his side, because a lot of times people in England have this mindset of she took advantage of him, or she's in control, or whatever negative viewpoint that they have of the angry black woman. And in this series, he explains how he fell in love with her, how the relationship started, like not realizing, being on the outside, that for majority of their relationship, they were away from each other. And it was mainly phone calls and FaceTiming, because she still had to work in Canada and he had to be in England for, his job and for the institution. And so just hearing him talk, and him constantly saying the reason why he made the decision that he did, because he made the decision, um because of what his mother went through, and people still not understanding what his mom went through. When I think one of the most powerful scenes in that series is when he talked about how he didn't know how to respond when Megan first said that she was having thoughts of suicide. And he just didn't know. And he was just like, okay, we're just going to have to go through this and you're just going to have to smile through it. And then he talked about how it was an event that his dad and his mom was going through. And he said, clearly remember his mom bawling her eyes out in the car. And then his dad saying, what is it, like a couple minutes and we'll arrive, 5 minutes to arrive. And basically that was the hint that she needed to wipe her tears, reapply her makeup, and walk out of that car with a smile on her face. And they showed the clip of just a picture that just hit it wrong. And you could see how hard it was for her to do that. And people don't realize like how hard that life is. And it's even harder when you're a Black woman. And of course we have people who watch the series and still think that Megan is the evil one in the whole thing. But I just don't see how you could watch that and not fully understand where Harry was coming from on the decisions that he made for his family rather than automatically putting it on Megan that she did it.
Yeah, and it gave me, I'll admit I'm not always the biggest Tyler Perry fan, but it gave me more respect for him. How he basically opened up his home to
Yeah.
pretty much strangers, you know, and that years after he wrote that letter, that offer still stood, um, and it so that, but the two things, my two big takeaways is when Harry said most of the time people equate racism with the N word, and if you're not saying the
Yeah.
N word, then it's not racist. And I was like, preach. Like you can tell he did the work. He's done the work. He continues to do the work.
Yes. And
Even though
understands his role in changing the future. Like he
and even though
understands his role.
yeah, and even though his children could pass for white, they could be Halseys, whatever. He's like, no, they're mixed race, and I'm proud of that, and they will know that they're mixed race, you know. Um, and then the other part is when Megan says, everyone wants to blame me, but if Harry hadn't already been on his own path, would I even be here? And I'm like,
Yes.
wow, that like that just like that was just like, you
Like
know,
he was already leaning towards that. Oh wait, I'm sorry, because I have to say this one. It would absolutely be one of my favorites, even though it literally just came out. Another thing was when he was talking about how his family that he thought would always have his back set him up. Because you've always told me how they would put story scandals of Harry out in order to cover other scandals that were going to be bigger about the principals, as they called them. And but to actually like hear him talking about it, and when he talks about how his dad told him to put a letter to send it in a letter on them moving to Canada and what that plan was going to be, and he said I'd rather not put it in a letter. And he said, well, I can't look at it unless it's officially in a letter. And then to literally see him get on the plane, and while he's on the plane, the letter has already been released to the media to cover up another scandal of a principal. And then going over there and not being able to meet his grandmother. And you see how when he talked about he's in a room and his grandmother's literally sitting there, and his dad and his brother is yelling at him back and forth, just yelling at him. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like,
like
yeah,
it kind of goes back to what he said about how he reacted when Megan first came to him and told him that she was having thoughts of ending her life. He said, I
yeah,
reacted as a member of the institution and not her husband.
mm-hmm.
And when he said that, it was like she reacted as the queen and not his grandmother.
Yes,
And then how they kept trying to keep him away. Like, you always know that he and his grandmother had a special relationship. And he knew when to treat her, he knew when to show her the respect and love of the queen. But in most cases, that was just his grandmother. And when he wanted to just talk to his grandmother, and she was like, okay, I'm off this week. Why don't you, Megan, Archie, just come spend the night? That's it. Just the three of us. You know, we can laugh, talk, whatever. And then as they're getting on the plane, he gets this bombardment of text messages saying, "You are not to meet your grandmother. Tell your security, do not bring you to Sandringham. She is busy. She has all this stuff to do this week." And then when he calls her, because he often went around the royal courtiers and called her directly, and that pissed a lot of people off. That he especially once he left, he went directly to his grandmother. Um, and they were like, "She's busy." And when he calls her, she goes, "Well, I thought I was free, but they tell me I have all this stuff coming up suddenly." So, and I'm just like, wow. And
Yeah.
it goes to show that the Queen of England has so little control over her life.
Yeah.
So,
and
yeah.
and it goes back to another show when what like I was like, oh shoot, so it was true. Like, you remember in Young Royals when Willem is talking to his mom, and his mom finally says, "I always have your back, but it's not just me. I don't make this decision." And then you basically see they have their own institution. That's a TV show. But then when you see it in Harry and Meghan, I was just like, oh, that's actually real. like they really, oh, okay, they really have these people who completely control their lives. They have no power and no control over it. And that is the reason why Harry was ostracized in the end, because he just refused to follow the plan. But it's just such a good series. I do. Please watch it. Harry and Meghan. It's so, so good. In a lot of ways, it's so heartbreaking on how many people she ends up losing in her life, just from falling in love. Like it's just it's a really, really good series that I would suggest everybody watch.
Yeah. That's it for me. You got any others?
I have one more.
Okay. Cool.
So, I have one more, and this is along the lines of the amazing show called Vincenzo.
Oh
And
yeah.
and so the one of my favorite actors, no matter the language barrier, one of my favorite actors is Song Joong Ki, and he played Vincenzo, which was one of our top rated shows. I want to say in 2020, maybe 2021. I'm not sure. I forgot. One of our top rated shows. And he's in a new show. It's still going on. It's about to finish next week. I watched it in real time. It's called Reborn Rich. And it's a show where he is a secretary of one of the richest families in Korea. He's doing all this stuff for them. And then they actually get caught embezzling money from their own company. And they set him up to take the fall. And then after they set him up to take the fall, they end up killing him. And so they murder him. And he ends up being reincarnated as the youngest member of the family. And but he remembers his previous life. And so it goes through with him wanting revenge on the family that led to his death, and then you find out it led to the death of two of his other family members as well, because they're just such a powerful family. And it's just so good. It's online with Vincenzo. On just every episode is better than the last, and the chemistry amongst the family as well as him within the family and with the grandfather who runs the family with an iron fist, is just so, so good. Like, it's just amazing. He's just such an amazing actor. Just embodies every single role that he takes on. And it's become one of my favorites of 2022. Just premiered last month, but it's still one of my favorites of 2022.
Oh wow, I'll have to check it out. I wrote that down. Reborn Rich.
Yes.
All right. So who are some of your favorite actors or actresses or entertainers of this year?
So this is actually my short list. My shortest list. I guess I'm doing an Eddie because I had a really long list for everything. So some of my favorite actors and actresses, just based on movies and TV shows that I've watched, mainly movies. Tom Holland, definitely for Uncharted. Viola Davis, just she's a queen. She's a queen. She's a queen. Chris Evans, Ryan Gosling for The Gray Man. Lupita Nyong'o, which I've already said. Angela Bassett, phenomenal. They're talking. Are they talking Oscars yet for her role as mom, as the
I didn't
queen?
see I didn't see her nominated for a Golden Globe, but very well could be.
Yes, like she did a phenomenal job. One of the most underrated actresses in the business, I would say. And then the last actor or actress that I just love, one of my favorites of 2022, is Song Joong Ki, who is in the show I just talked about, Reborn Rich. Every single show that I have watched, that he has been in has been phenomenal. I know, I don't believe you ever seen Descendants of the Sun, but he was right after he came out of the military. He started in a show called Descendants of the Sun. It was his comeback TV series, and he was absolutely phenomenal in that. He played a soldier, hilarious because he just came out of the military being a soldier, but he played a soldier who ends up getting sent with his platoon to a war-torn country to just build it up, and just the whole storyline was just absolutely amazing. And then Vincenzo, which I love, and now Reborn Rich, which I am suggesting to everybody to watch, one of my favorites of 2022. So those are just a couple. There's more, but those are just a couple that really stood out to me based on the movies and TV shows that I've mentioned.
Um, I'm going to co-sign on that list. I love Viola Davis, Angela Bassett, amazing. Angela Bassett's also one of those who embodies every role that she takes on,
Yes.
from Tina Turner to
Oh,
uh,
yes.
to the role she played in Waiting to Exhale. Just everything. So she's always good. So I agree with your list, and I'm just going to throw Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck. They pulled at my heartstrings. Like love wins. Sometimes um, it does. Like you know, uh,
No, it's go for it.
and I know they really didn't
20
do a
years in the
whole.
making. No,
Yeah,
it's
and I just think their love story is so really things, one of those things that Hollywood is made of, and they give me that old school Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton type vibes. That probably not as toxic, but just how after all these years they find their way back to each other, and I that pulls at the romantic in me, like it that just pulls at my heartstrings. So I'm adding them to the list just for like yeah, give me all the feels, real life love story. So that was really cool. Um,
I have one more. I have one
okay.
more. I forgot his name though. You're gonna have to help me to think of his name. The guy who played Jeffrey Dahmer.
Evan Ross. No, no, not Evan
No.
Ross. Evan Peters.
Yes. Evan Peters. Oh my gosh.
He might be the white version of Michael Ealy because he plays some creepy motherfuckers too.
Yo. But
Like,
playing Jeffrey Dahmer, and I swear, if I saw this dude on the street, I'm crossing the street. If I see him on the sidewalk, I'm crossing to the other side of the street. When I mean that he embodied Jeffrey Dahmer, where he scared the shit out of me, like just an absolutely phenomenal turn as that character. Just yeah. So I'm gonna say one of the best performances of 2022. I'm saying it now, was Evan Peters, where he played Jeffrey Dahmer.
I can't remember if he was nominated for a Golden Globe in the TV category, but I want to say he was. I know Dahmer was a bit controversial, but what the fuck? He was a real life serial killer.
It's
So
controversial that people wanted to try to dress up as him for
him and
Halloween.
and yeah, and they thought, a lot of people were comparing it to trauma porn. It's like, well, they're telling the story because people talk about Jeffrey Dahmer, but they just don't realize what he truly did.
Yes.
Kind of like Jack the Ripper. He was probably a modern day version of Jack the Ripper, I would have to say. But yeah, I agree with you on that. And of
And
course,
always believe black women.
always Megan Thee
Always believe
Stallion,
black women.
Megan Thee
Trevor Noah said
Stallion,
that.
like for real. But I love and I'm gonna add just because they're gonna be gone, and I think even for this to be an off year, they still did so much. And that's BTS, and I'm going to miss them while they're gone. And I'm glad you have so much to go back, so much stuff to go back and watch while they're gone. So yeah, but yeah, it's like we said
I'm
on the
telling
news
you,
episode.
2023 is going to be vocal line year.
Yeah, it is. The matinee and the vocal line. Yeah. But we'll see. And I think that is it for this episode. You got anything else to add?
No, but I would say, we made some very amazing suggestions. We wouldn't tell you to watch them if they weren't going to be good because, we got no problem telling you if something is trash. So if you can, please go and watch the shows and the movies that we definitely suggest. We've also have episodes for a lot of them. So definitely check out the episodes for the TV shows, TV series and movies that we have put out there that were absolutely phenomenal. I guess that's a little bit of the plug.
That is the plug. That's a great
Okay.
plug. Um, pop, pop, pop. Hey.
Pop, pop, pop.
So having said that, that does it for this episode. Be sure to listen to this and all those other episodes you may have missed for recommendations on wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Give us a like, a comment, a shout out, save, subscribe, keep it real, keep it popping with us. And our next episode is going to be one of my favorites. We are going to do the annual Golden Goblets. And so I'm looking forward to some of the categories for the Golden Goblets this year. And just seeing. And then that's going to be followed by our other traditional shit that got us through 2022. I'm really excited about that particular one because,
It's always
2022,
interesting to see.
it is. 2022 has just been kind of weird, but for me personally, but we'll talk about that at a later date. So, until next time, thank you for joining us. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy. Bye.
Peace.